Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. I'm here with my partner once again for the 22-23 school year, Mr. Tate Mathews. Tate, welcome back to the show as we get started. And listen, you've been on Sports Connection more as a host / co-host more than anyone.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
It is hard to. Well, it's not. No, it's not hard to believe. Some people can't be replaced.
Do you think it has something to do with my pay?
Could. We had a tough off-season renegotiation of the contract. And by the way, when I said some people can't be replaced, I'm not saying that I was able to replace anybody. I'm saying if I'm out, you'll still be remaining.
Hey, I think we got a few more years left.
We've got a few.
In the saddle together, and I'm glad to be back. I love this show, and it's week one, baby. Week one.
Week one, we've had a fairly busy summer,
yes.
Tate. A couple weeks ago, there on August 1st, we were at Mojo's Tacos at the factory at Franklin. Thank you for Lance West and the crew here at WCTV for live streaming that event. We had lots of live views that night. I don't know what the total ended up being, but it was quite a few. And then, of course, people going back afterwards and checking that out. So that's kind of a start of our season. And you were pretty pleased that happened on August 1st because you felt like it was kind of the start of the year.
Yeah, I did. The first day of August. August is the month where we start playing games and official contests again. I just thought it had a good feel to it. I know talking to Pulliam, he felt kind of the same way. Kreger felt the same way. I thought it just, I don't know, man. It just felt right. August the 1st, we're talking football because in 3 weeks, we're strapping it up.
So,
and I love the venue, by the way.
It was a great venue.
I don't know what you call that area where you had it. The patio.
The patio,
covered.
yep.
I thought it was great. Just the right size. Thought the kids did a great job. I can't remember that many media members being present, so I thought it, just like everything else, it just keeps getting better. I thought that was the best media day that I've seen, and I've seen them all.
Well, I counted, and I think the count was 12 media. That's pretty strong now. We're talking high school sports.
I think so.
Wonder if Vanderbilt has 12 show up for their football. If Patrick Whitlock's out there watching, sorry, Coach.
He knows.
Don't at me. Which he might.
Calm down, Coach.
Hey, this time last year we were talking changes in classification. Obviously, we're in year 2 now. But if you look at, we're talking football today. We're going to get to the other sports next week. In Region 7, 6A, Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin, Indy, Ravenwood, Summit. I think, playoffs is going to be kind of touch and go in terms of placement and who makes it. 6-5A, I think you and I both agree that Nolensville-Page will be the marquee matchup. It'll determine the region champion later this semester or later in the season. And then Fairview, obviously still expected to be one of the dominant programs. I think that one probably comes down to Fairview-White House. Not Heritage, White House.
Big difference. BDP, White House, I agree. White House had a nice jamboree against Hendersonville in Macon County. The town is pronounced Lafayette.
Right, not Lafayette. We're not in, France?
Louisiana or France. White House looked pretty good. They're physical. So, yeah, I think it's going to come down to them. And I know Coach Hughes is excited about the Yellow Jackets 2022 version. So, yeah, I think you nailed everything. Nolensville and Page are going to be 1 and 2 in that region, I think, and goodness gracious. And you look at Region 7, 6A, which I know we're going to get into it, Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin, Independence, Ravenwood, Summit. They all play each other. And then you look at their non-region games. Murderers Row. Might be who can have the least amount of injuries.
Well, and that sport, obviously, any sport, but in particular football, when every play, as how Mummy used to explain it, is a train wreck. Every play.
Yeah.
He was trying to justify not hitting in practice. Now, give Mummy credit. At the time he was doing that, everybody's like, oh, now no one hits in practice.
No, he was ahead of his time on a lot of things.
He really was. Anyway, story for another day. Just some reminders about 2021. You've got 7 of 9 teams made the playoffs last year. Page was runner-up at the state championship game against Powell in 5A. Summit, the runner-up in 6A against Oakland. Then we had a semifinalist for Mr. Football in 5A, Jake McNamara. I think he should have been a finalist, but I'm biased.
And he also won the Mike Bobo Quarterback of the Year
Well,
award.
how did I forget that? If we asked Jake, I bet he would say, look, I would have liked to have been a finalist for Mr. Football, but the Bobo Award
I mean,
takes precedence.
come on. There's only one a year.
There's only one. Now, the logo that goes with the award, I don't know if it's Colorado State or Auburn or... Shout out to our boy JQ, and I'm sure he's out there watching. Mr. Football 6A, finalist, Keaton Wade. Winner was Destin Wade for Summit. So, as usual, you look at our sports, football in this particular case, another banner year. Do want to mention, and we've mentioned this before, but we're getting rolling here in football. Only one coaching change in WCS this year, and it's Scott Stidham replacing Scott Blade. Hey, that's tough to replace a guy like Scott Blade, but if anybody can do it and keep it rolling, I think it's Scott Stidham.
No doubt. And they got him in there early. Shout out to Dr. Patton and Coach White and you. But getting him in there early was big, and he's already putting his mold on the program. It's going to look a little different, but he's a heck of a coach. He's won a lot of games, so he'll be fine. And I'm excited to watch the Scott Stidham era begin.
And shout out to Coach Wilkins, who probably
Helped.
was part of the closing the sales deal since they coached together at South Gibson.
I don't know the principal at South Gibson, but I'm sure he does not like you all.
Been fun
Or
knowing
she,
you.
whoever it is.
Been fun knowing you. Glad you guys are gone.
Got a baseball coach? Yeah, we'll come get him too.
All right, let's go through our schools here and just talk about some expectations. Let's start with Region 7 6A. Again, Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin, Independence, Ravenwood, Summit. Let's talk about the teams first, then we'll do a predicted order of finish. We'll see if we've changed since Media Day.
Okay.
Brentwood 7-5 last year, Tate. Second round loss to eventual runner-up Summit. Coach Finch is back for year 2. Listen, they've got some guys to replace. When you talk about Walton, White, Brock, just to name a few, to me, I'm thinking they're going to have a hard time making the playoffs. It is Brentwood, right? But then Coach Finch, when he said, and I don't think Coach Finch is one of those guys that would just say, he said, this may be the best offensive line we've had in a lot of years. Made me doubt my putting Brentwood a little bit lower in the. And you agreed with him.
I did.
Because you have them
Yeah.
a little higher than I did.
Well, I've heard them say it. And then I've heard people that they've scrimmaged say, hey, Brentwood was really physical. They got after it. That line was coming after us, So, and you were mentioning, that's the thing with all these 6A. That's 6A football. You're replacing a lot of dudes every year, right? But
True.
the great thing is you got, all these programs, they don't rebuild, they reload. And so, I think, and we talked about this at Media Day or the preview of Media Day. That 7-5 record's a little misleading. 2 of them are to Summit. Well, and it counted, but that Blackman game, if that had been on any other week, I think they win that game. So 5 losses, yes, but they were much better than a 7-5 football team. So they got some really good young guys in the wide receiver corps that played a lot of snaps last year. So, they've got some people that are ready to fill the shoes. So, I think that they got a chance to be really good. And again, offensive line's usually the toughest thing to put together in high school football. So I know they feel pretty good about it.
Centennial, 6-4 last year, just totally dominated every opponent on the win side.
Yeah.
And again, it shows you the quality of this region. And listen, did they play the best schedule out of region? Probably not, but they dominated those teams. And we've always said this, you even take a Franklin who's 1-9. You can find a lot of regions where they make the playoffs.
Probably everyone but this.
So let's not take anything away from Centennial. And to me, this is the year they've been building to, right? And I think in particular with the skill guys for Centennial, I think the question is going to be the line.
Yep.
But if they can survive that, and make things happen on the offensive and defensive line, then I look for Centennial to be a playoff team.
I think that's the goal. I think that's what they want to do. And you mentioned those non-region games last year. They're 6-4. They scored over 40 points 5 times. And I think they can be really explosive on offense again. You mentioned that the offensive line is going to be a problem. It usually is there. They just, for whatever reason, there's not a whole lot of offensive linemen. That's not an offensive lineman school. But you mentioned it. They got some skill players, and I think they think they're going to be really good on defense. They've got several guys on the defensive side that can run around and get to the football, and they're coming with bad intentions. They feel good about their secondary. Kind of the same thing with the offensive. If you don't have a whole lot of offensive linemen, sometimes that means you don't have a whole lot of defensive linemen. So they got to work on those 2 lines. They're a year older. And you know what, man? Who cares what their non-region schedule is? They needed confidence. That program needed confidence, and they got a lot of it last year. And you can tell by the way it's not boastful, but you can tell they're confident. They feel good about the way they were in the postseason. They've got high expectations.
Franklin coming off a 1-9 campaign in the first year for Coach Alex Melton. Some additions there on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
You got Kerry Collins, who's been added to the coaching staff, going to work with quarterbacks, which kind of makes sense considering his background as
He's a pretty good one.
Professional and a solid college player as well. And then Donnie Webb back helping Franklin, which I thought was really cool. And to me, that's one of the best stories, really, is think about the selflessness of both of those coaches. Coach Webb, who was the previous head coach there at Franklin, Coach Melton's coming in. You're coming off a tough year, and you're going to hire the previous coach who did a great job and took them to the quarterfinals the year before. Now, listen.
And is loved there.
He really is. And I think Coach Melton knows this, and I don't mean to speak poorly of the Franklin faithful, but the teams were different. That last year's team was not the same team that went to the quarterfinals the year before. So, again, I know Coach Melton wasn't happy with it, but it's not like he had the most talented team in the league. And they're building, right? They're building. I think, in particular, he loves the sophomore class.
Loves them.
Can't do it with one class, certainly can't do it with sophomores, but I look to see some improvement there from Franklin High School.
Yeah. We talked about it in the media day, so no reason to spend a whole lot of time on it. But the fact that Coach Webb came back as an assistant, I think speaks volumes about him. The fact that Coach Melton was okay and secure enough and confident enough to have him come back as an assistant, I think speaks volumes to him. And here's the cool thing. Coach Melton's the defense coordinator. He had to spend a lot of time on that. I don't know if they've really decided quite yet if Coach Webb's going to call it or he's going to call it. Bottom line is this. He trusts Coach Webb, and that's going to give him some time to do some other things that he needs to do as a head coach. So I think that's great. They're another year in the weight room with Coach Melton, who I think is one of the best guys in the weight room that we've got, maybe anywhere in the mid-state. And so we talked about it there. I don't know what's realistic yet, but I think probably the safest bet of any of this is, I don't know how many they're going to win, but Franklin's going to win more than one game.
And they're going to be better for sure.
There's no question.
Independence coming off a 4-7 campaign, first round loss in the playoffs to Collierville. Scott Stidham, as we mentioned, the new head coach, and he's got some guys coming back.
Yes.
Trey Hartwell, Ty Lockwood, recent commitment to Alabama. I was thinking about that the other day. These commitments, and we've had a lot of impressive ones. But when you see Alabama, you do the little double take like, oh, okay, Alabama. I mean, Ohio State's great too, right? But it's just different when it's Alabama.
Well, you just don't get many of them here. You just don't. So, yeah, that was big. I would love to know what changed them, because they came after him. He was already, he's committed to Ohio State. I'm sure he's fine with it. And then probably went down there this summer. I don't know. But they saw something. And boy, whether you like him or dislike him, when Coach Saban comes calling, he don't miss on many of them, does he? That had to be. He does. That had to be pretty cool.
Now, listen, I want to say, just like, we talk about your flag football record as a youth coach, and it needs to be recognized.
It does.
I'm going to give myself a little credit on Lockwood. Again, I go back to this story. You remember this story. His sophomore year, I'm at the playoff game with Coach Doug Mathews on the sideline,
coach.
and there were some dudes playing.
Yes.
And I said to Coach Mathews, I said, "Now look, I don't pretend to not, I mean, I'm a basketball coach, but when I watch this game, the prospect that's the biggest prospect on this field is Ty Lockwood, sophomore. What number is he?" I showed him, he goes, "Oh, yeah, it's him." So I'd like to
As
think.
a sophomore.
I'd like to think
Yeah.
that I was on the
You were.
front end of it.
You're an evaluator of talent, no doubt. But you know what? I'm excited, man. So you've seen him, Trey Hartwell.
Yeah.
Golly, he is really
He's very noticeable when you see him.
goodness. Not that he wasn't before. You can tell he's been in the weight room. He looks great. And I tell you who, when you talk to Coach Stidham, a name that keeps popping up with him is Brooks Sapone. Been a starter in the secondary, but he's, I think the quote he told me was, he wants to shake Brooks' hand before the game, give him a drink at halftime, and then talk to him after the game. I don't know that he's going to come off the field much. And he's really pleased with the camp he's had. So, Cody Pagach, the quarterback, he can fling it around.
High expectations for him. Been a lot of talk about him the last few years.
Yeah.
Now it's his squad.
It's hey, baby, it's your ball. Let it rip. And Coach Stidham probably needs to fire the guy who made the scrimmages because, goodness, Oakland, NBA, and Hillsborough, I think. So I'm kidding, but
He made the schedule, didn't he?
yes, he might have inherited one of them, but yes, he made it. And so they're tested. They're tested, and he feels good about his quarterback.
And they, like Summit, will be playing on some new turf this year,
Yes.
which we're excited about. It'll be every school.
I think they've got some other. Have you talked to him about this? I don't want to give away. He's got some other things coming too.
He does that are going to be cool. Kind of start some.
Traditions
Yeah.
and game. It's going to be pretty cool. That will tie into the new field. I like it.
I do too. Ravenwood, which in the 6A classification here in Williamson County, they've been kind of the talk, and rightly so. Chris Parson coming back at quarterback, just recently committed to Mississippi State. I think it's a great fit, by the way, with the offense that they
Love
run, and I'm sure it'll be fun being around Coach Leach. 10-3 last year, quarterfinal loss to Summit. And, I noticed with Coach Hester, now Coach Hester's a great motivator, and he does a great job of determining kind of what the narrative is. I noticed last year in Media Day that he said, look, everybody talks about Ravenwood, we got a great program, but hey, I'm just coming back and we got to check it out, and maybe we're not that good, trying to sell us like they're an underdog, which, come on. But I noticed this year at Media Day, he changed from that to, we say at Ravenwood, if we want to be about it, then we need to talk about it. He knows they've got a squad.
Yeah, he's confident. You got a heck
Love
of a
Coach
schedule.
Hester.
Oh man,
And his mom, who's out there watching.
Gigi. Mimi. Sorry, Gigi's his daughter. Yeah, you can tell he thinks he's pretty good. Hey, you got a quarterback who's going to be a senior, and he had other places to go too. But you're right. I think the Mississippi State. Hey, and I didn't even think about this. Week 1, Ravenwood host MBA. Marcel Reed, the quarterback of Montgomery Bell Academy. Chris Parson, the quarterback of Ravenwood. You know where Marcel Reed's going?
Where's he going?
Ole Miss. We got
Egg Bowl.
We got a potential Egg Bowl matchup. That's pretty cool, isn't it? But let me tell you something. I saw Chris at a scrimmage. I've seen a couple of others. He's got a better grasp of it. Again, man, guy's got all the talent in the world. But last year was his first year as a starter. A lot of room to growth. He's grown, and in the scrimmage is what you don't get to see, because obviously, what's the number one thing? You don't get a guy like that hurt in a scrimmage. He's not pulling the ball down and doing things with his legs that he can. And, yeah, they're going to be pretty good.
Summit, our final 6A team, they may look as different as anyone. We talk about what they lost coming off those back-to-back just great years, lost one game in 2 years. State championship team 2 years ago in 5A, first year in 6A last year. They take it all the way to the state championship game, lose to a really good Oakland team in the final. It's kind of a reset here a little bit. I thought it was interesting too. They're young and we're all aware of it, but when you hear Coach Coleman in Media Day talking about a lot of these guys played in the freshman game last year, and or the JV game.
Yeah.
And so that tells you and speaks to that youth. But I do know this. I've always said this, and I'm not saying they're going to be bad. Don't misinterpret that. But I always say about programs that are good programs, even when they're bad or down, they're good.
Yeah, they find a way.
You got to play to beat them.
Right. And hey, they're going to play hard for him and his staff and that school. So, yeah, I mean, you lose. You talk about the Wades, you talk about Pierce, but then, goodness, the offensive line played dang near 75 games together, not 75, 45 games together. So you don't just replace that overnight. So, yeah, they got more than anybody, a lot of people to replace, but it's a program now, and you can't put enough you can't put a high enough price tag on this. Those guys who have not been playing, remember, that's 45 games. That's an extra season and a half of practice, reps, than other people got in 3 years, right? So they're ready. They just got to get out there and get some game experience under them. But it's going to be a different look, and they're going to be building it. But somebody's going to get snuck up on, I think.
Well, and it may be a situation too, and next year we're talking about, or in 2 years, these guys have this many games playing together.
That's right.
You kind of restart that. So
and remember, I think we talked about it at Media Day. Summit and Franklin, week 11. That could be for the final playoff spot, a playoff spot. It's going to be pretty interesting. It's going to go all the way down to the last week.
I agree.
Which is exciting.
So let's talk about this now that we've gone through.
Okay.
In 6A, I think we both agree. We say Ravenwood is 1. Correct?
Yes.
Number 2, here's where we differ. I think it's Indy.
Correct.
And you think it's?
Brentwood Bruins.
3. Now, I may change this one. Because I'm going to change. I'm not changing my playoff teams. I'm changing my order.
Yeah, that's fine.
Number 3.
Things have happened in
mainly,
what's today? 14 days.
Mainly, I've listened. Number 3, I'm going Brentwood, and then you're going
Indy.
So we've got that flip. Number 4, I think we differ here. I'm going Centennial. And you say?
I'm going Summit.
That's what I thought. So you haven't changed. I solid. You're not changing. 5, I'm going Summit. You're going
Centennial.
And then we're both Franklin.
Yep.
Still.
With an improved record from 2020.
No question. No question. So it'll be interesting.
It is going to be interesting.
If I get behind in the standings, I may have to double down on the region. See how the region goes. All right, let's talk 5A.
Yeah.
And our teams, Nolensville and Page, I think we both agree those are the best 2 teams in that particular region. Nolensville 5-7 last year. They lost to Page in the second round. Nolensville was really playing well at the end of the year. Page 13-2, state runner-up to Powell. They lost in particular Jake McNamara, but let me tell you, Colin Hurd and Coach Rathbone will tell you. I don't even know if he's going to play quarterback, but he certainly could. He's like, look, those guys are closer than people think. They're different quarterbacks, but Colin's a player. So I think he likes his team coming back. But the question's going to be who wins the regular season game. Then when they match up again, because they're probably going to, what's that look like in the playoffs? And that's hard to pick. It really is. But I think about with Nolensville, you think about Walton. You think about Fitzgerald. You think about Sampson Johnson. They've got a squad too, and they were fairly young last year.
Yeah.
But now they're older, bigger, stronger, faster, so to speak. I like our chances in WCS making it to the end, but one of those teams can only go as far as the quarterfinals.
Which I don't like, but it is what it is. Kobe Walton, he's going to be one of the top passers in the mid-state this year. It depends on if they can get that run game going. You are going to see Sampson out of the backfield in the passing game. So I don't know if Nolensville's set up to give the running back the ball 15, 20 times. I don't think they are. So he might be up there in the like McNamara was in the passing yards. He's got a great wide receiver core, which in turn they look really good on the outside on the secondary. Their problem is offensive line. That's where they are going to have to find out who that's going to be. The good thing is a lot of the Page guys left on the offensive line, but they've got some good ones. They got Roman O'Connell, UT offer, and they're going to be physical. So I don't know. I think these two are much more evenly matched than they were last year. And if you remember, Nolensville's offense started off on fire last year, and then it kind of took a step back. I think that's going to be the way it starts off again this year. I think they're going to be really good on offense. And then Colin Hurd, I think the best thing I heard Coach Rathbone say, he said, Colin Hurd could have thrown for 3,000 yards last year. We just had a guy named Jake McNamara who was throwing for 3,000 plus yards, and Colin was able to do some other stuff. So, and they do not, I shouldn't say that. They would like for Colin not to be the quarterback because what he means defensively. And that guy only knows one thing, too. So, it's full speed on defense.
If I'm not mistaken, last year in the Fairview game, Colin led them in passing yards and tackles.
Probably.
Think about that.
Yeah. You don't see that much anymore, do you?
No, we're talking big boy football, too.
And Weebush, the sophomore, Coach Rathbone's really, really high on him. It's just, is he ready right now? Don't know. We're going to find out here in a couple of days.
Final team to discuss in 3A Fairview, 6-5 last year, first round loss to Smith County. That's a few years in a row now with first round. I can tell you this, they won't be losing in the first round this year.
Negative.
Layden Grant.
Boy, did he look put together at Media Day?
No question. We love that guy, right? Done a great job for him, just shows up every week. He's kind of a stat stuffer, so to speak. Claxton. You've got Mays McCoy at quarterback, and that might be the story. The way Mays McCoy goes might be the way that Fairview goes. But I look for them to take it pretty darn deep. I'm going at least semis this year. I think they can do it. I really do.
I do too. And Mays is a big kid. I don't remember them having a quarterback Mays is a big dude. So I'm with you. I think he is going to have a very big part of it, but he's ready. And you know what I'm excited about? I thought about this when I saw that. Have you released where the first game day is going to be?
The first game, now that you brought it up, Battle of 840.
All right.
This Friday. Page at Fairview. And I'm going to tell you that, when we get to Pick'ems, that's a tough game to pick.
Well, we've done this before, and so here's our public service announcement. Very excited for Mr. Butler, new principal at Fairview. He's been to him, so no, he knows what it's about. Dr. Hill brings it. So you better be ready or it will not be good.
Remember how surprised we were? We're like, she's so nice and sweet. And then she was like cutting throats.
I know he knows, and I'm sure he will. But
if I've got
don't just show up there thinking you're just gonna pick or it ain't gonna be good.
Listen, I got to go out to Fairview and meet with some of the students, and Mr. Butler, they're excited about having it there. I know they'll do a good job, but if I had to pick it right now, Hill versus Butler, I got to go with Hill.
It's on YouTube. Go back and watch it. Be ready.
We were laughing the whole time. And the Patriots out there, don't come on the stage. It's a road game.
Oh, my God. I forgot about that. Please refrain from the throwing of the water bottles.
Well, I told the Fairview students when I was out there, I said, the Patriot last year, if your mascot comes, we'd welcome there. I said, the Patriot somehow was like on the edge of not appropriate, but it was still okay. And then one of them said, I think he speared the Yellow Jacket during warm-ups. Remember, he tackled him?
Yes, I do. That guy was awesome. That guy was awesome. Fly swatters flying through there.
It's unbelievable. It really was. All right, Tate, so let me get this from you because I always like to ask you a couple things. Top story to watch in 2022, in your opinion, in WCS. You can pick any storyline you want.
Man, I think it's Ravenwood and Chris Parson. How good can they be? Can they go and follow up what Summit did last year? I think that's it. I think he's special.
How about this one? Biggest surprise team in WCS in 2022, in your opinion?
Summit. I mean, there are some experts that don't even have
Some
them making the
pundits, some
playoffs.
pundits.
So I'm going to say Summit because I think Summit's going to make the playoffs. And, you know, they're pretty good at using bulletin board
they are.
material down there, having a chip on their shoulder about some of these predictions and scores and things like that. So I think Summit.
You've been known to walk in at Summit and they act like they're not watching. They're all like around the TV.
And it's aggressive and
Mean.
and you know, like what's the line behind every joke? There's a sliver of truth.
They're just hammering you.
Oh my gosh.
That's great. Well, no need to hammer you yet. It's on me this time. Hey, let's do because
The show's not over.
Look, we don't have much time, so this is why I don't want to do this. Let's just go over the results of last year's pick'ems.
Oh, okay.
Again, we don't have.
What happened?
In last place, the Fans 63. It's close though. Fans had
was.
63 wins, 63 and 21. Dr. Qualls and I, which is obviously a down year for me, we tied with 64 wins. And in my defense, which again, you're right, you had to pick them.
Hold on. Is this an asterisk?
Well, not really, but I do want to explain myself because I don't like making excuses. But Dr. Qualls, who never picked anybody but WCS teams ever when he was in this seat, ever, right?
I don't remember.
Not one time.
Yeah.
Well, he goes out in the state playoffs last year. The Fans, yourself and I, we went homer and we all picked Page and Summit. He picked the other two teams, and they won. But so it's not really. We don't need to put an asterisk like that.
I did.
But it's just his loyalty.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he caught some heat over that.
He should have. Well, something we can't
But
really.
you still ended with a tie, so.
And then you were very much in the clear. Even though you went 0-2, you were 3 games clear at 67 wins. So congratulations.
I went all Wilco in the finals, man.
Job well done.
Stayed loyal.
Well, let's see how you do this year, Tate, because we're going to go ahead and do our first round of pick'ems. And by the way, fans, just a reminder, go out on Friday mornings. WCSCO Athletics. We want you to participate again in our pick'ems polls this week.
I'm sorry. I don't think it's this week, but you need to make sure because sometimes you're not paying attention to everybody. There will be some Thursday night games this year, so make sure.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That can mess. I mean, us too. That can mess
I'm
everybody
glad you
up.
said that. Not this week, but you're right.
Right.
We'll put those on early. Here's where we're going to start, and I'm going to pick first.
Go.
Last year's tied out of 4 teams runner-up. I'm going to pick first. We got Brentwood versus Blackman at Brentwood. Well, I can tell you this, it will not be a repeat of last year's opener. Brentwood wins this one going away.
I agree. It's going to be some points because of the way Blackman plays. 6 turnovers last year for the Bruins. That does not happen. I'm going with Brentwood.
Tate, game number 2. Your pick, Centennial at Overton.
Overton is better. Really good quarterback, wide receiver, but not enough firepower to stop the Cougars. The Columbia Blue Helmets, first time
good.
ever, 1-0, Centennial.
I agree, 1-0, and I'll add to this. The headgear for next week will be the boat captain hat.
I agree. Okay. Did you see what happened? They voted. The mercy rule is now 30 points. So we need to have a conversation. What does that mean? Do we go with what the mercy rule is? Do we stay with 35? I mean, technically, boat captain is running clock, so we need to think about that. But yes, you're right.
Everybody's getting a trophy. Mercy rules reducing. It's what are we coming to here?
I know.
All right, game 3, Franklin versus Riverdale at Riverdale. My pick. Hate to go against WCS team and the Admirals. They're playing a really good Riverdale team. I think it's closer than people think. I think it's a game well into the second half. I'm going with Riverdale in this one, though.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Riverdale's got one of the best defenses in the entire state, not just the mid-state. Again, Franklin's going to be much, much improved, but Riverdale gets the win on this one.
Tate, you're up next. Independence at
Christ
CPA.
Presbyterian Academy. Independence has had some really good scrimmages. Went varsity. Now, it's a scrimmage, but varsity went 10-7 with Oakland. Oakland being 10, Independence being 7. So they're good. They're better. I think CPA is going to struggle with Trey Hartwell, but I think in the end, CPA has too much offensive firepower. I'm going with the Lions.
Our first difference of the year. I'm going Indy.
Good. I mean, because I like it when I don't like it when we're all the same picks.
Next game, Nolensville at BGA. Again, won't be like last year. Nolensville.
You like it. This one, I think, is the hardest on this thing. I really do. I think they both give each other matchup problems. I'm going to go BGA. Run game. I don't like it either.
And we could have separation. I mean,
This could, do it in for the year.
I could either be up and rolling early, or it could be, and it may get different again. Ravenwood versus MBA at Ravenwood.
This game was a blowout last year at times. Turnover city for Ravenwood. That will not happen again. NBA is going to be the biggest, most physical team Ravenwood sees all year long. I'm going with the Big Red. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that because Coach Hester hates that. There's nothing red about them. They're Cardinal. I'm going with Montgomery-Ville Academy.
Reluctantly. I'm going to agree. Very reluctantly. I really don't want to. But the reason I'm doing it, I think deep
It's
down.
because you're competitive.
I think deep down in places that we don't want to talk about, Coach Hester is okay with that.
There's nothing wrong
To
with
go, I can get their attention.
Yeah.
He's not throwing the game. He wants to win, right? He wants to win them all.
I assure you.
But I think that's one that they can use for later on. I'm going NBA, but I think it's a good game.
And can I say one other thing on that or leave it alone? What's the goal? You said they want to go to the state championship game. Okay. Can you get to the state championship game if Chris Parson is hurt?
No.
Okay. So in the games that matter, Chris probably going to run, right? I don't think you're going to see him run a whole lot against NBA. So they're not getting their best shot. Anyways.
Summit versus Henry County. Always a tough opponent playing Henry County. Again, I hate to do it. I'm going to go with Henry. I don't want to. If this game was 4 or 5 games in, might pick it differently, but there's just so many unanswered questions. Yep. And this is the first time under the big lights.
Yes.
Scrimmages, all that's fine, but this is like the real deal.
Yes. Well, that's what I was going to say. If this was later on in the year, I usually count on Summit winning that game. This is the first game. Henry County's got a lot of really good players. They're an older team, so going with the Patriots.
Final game, Battle of 840, Page at Fairview, game day in town.
This is always a hard one to pick.
Tate, you're picking. I would remind you that last year when we, 6-5, Fairview lost 28-20 at
Yes.
Page.
So
I'm trying to set you.
I know. I've not fared well in this game, history shows. And first I thought it was the road team always wins. It did. So this is what I think. I think that it's going to be a great environment. I think Fairview's got more holes to fill early on than Page, which Page has got a lot of holes, but I'm going with the Patriots. And Coach Hughes will let me know about it when we get there Friday.
We're going to pick 3 games differently.
You're going Fairview?
I'm going Fairview.
Woo!
I'm going Fairview. I think they have less questions to answer. Again, later in the year, maybe it's different. I think Fairview's closer to who they're going to be in week 1 than Page. And listen, this game matters to both of them. I think in particular right now, because of the way it's gone here lately, and because you can feel something different at Fairview, right? I'm telling you, can feel it.
And they want to get off to a good
start. Fairview.
We're going to have a lot to talk about on Monday.
But I am going to pick Coach Hill.
No,
Dr. Hill. Dr. Hill, she's going to get the best of Mr. Butler.
I'm not picking that right now because I do have faith that he's going to bring it. I'm just saying it's. Oof.
Yeah, but it's so surprising when it happens. He's going to be taken aback. He's not going to be ready.
I mean,
of course, if he watches this show, he'll be ready. But he probably too busy this week.
He'll be ready because I know Dr. Jones has probably told him, and he always brought it. you know. So, yeah, I think he'll be ready, but just, you know, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a contest for sure.
Tate, appreciate you being here this week. Thanks to the crew at WCTV for having us back. They renewed the contracts, ready to go. So it's going to be a fun year.
Oh, I can't wait. Hey, make sure you participate. Make sure you participate in the pickings and Fairview Nation, Yellow Jacket Nation. Be there at game day. Get loud because, you know, we'll be talking about who's the best crowd. You're up first. You got a chance to be the number one in the poll after week 1. But, you know, you also got a chance. It's hard to make it up if you have a poor performance, correct?
And it's not always size of the crowd.
No.
I still say maybe that Summit crowd against Ravenwood, it was unbelievable.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you right now, easily top 2 last year was Page.
No doubt about it. Energy level,
It was incredible.
beginning to end,
Incredible.
cheerleaders. Yeah, man. You don't have to have the largest student body to be best. We just want to see somebody bring it.
Looking forward to it.
Because we're gonna
Tate.
bring it.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Thanks for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.